Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we are going to be using forms, but this time with my dominant hand. So this should go a lot smoother than my last video. If you guys missed that, go ahead and check it out. I did do forms using my non-dominant hand on myself. So we are getting started by prepping my natural nail. I went ahead and basically filed down all of the acrylic that I had. I clipped off the excess tip and then filed everything down into a thin layer. So now we're just going in with this bit from Kiara Sky. I'm going in at a speed of 4,000 RPMs and just very gently buffing off that shine while pushing back that cuticle. And then I'm taking my cuticle ball bit. This one is from Kiara Sky as well, and I'm just gonna carefully buff off any excess dead skin that I may have. I did recently do my nails not that long ago, so they are pretty clean. Not a lot to take off, but however, I still like to clean them off because it just gives such a good clean look. So I most definitely am not used to using forms. I went ahead and started prepping a form and then I realized I hadn't even prepped my natural nail all the way, and this is due to the fact that I always use tips. So these steps are a little bit backwards, but I'm going to start off by dehydrating my nail and cleaning the surface of my nail using a lint free wipe from Kiara Sky and some Young Nail Swipe. You could also use alcohol if you do not have Swipe. Now I'm just going ahead and priming my nail with the Not Polish XXX Bond, and I'm just really focusing on that natural nail that is exposed. Like I said, I have a little bit of acrylic left behind, so I'm just focusing on that growth. Now I'm going in with my form and I'm going ahead and prepping it. I basically place the little sticker that goes in between on the back side, and then we start pinching at the tip. And I do this very, very carefully because you want it to be nice and centered. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and place that underneath my natural nail and start pinching the underneath and trying to get it as secure as possible. These forms are amazing in my opinion. They're super, super sticky and they grasp onto your skin very, very well. So definitely recommend these, and I love the fact that they are super, super long. You guys know I love my long nails, so this makes it even better. So I'm just going to go ahead and start my acrylic application. For today's video, I am using the Not Polish brush in the size 12. Along with that, I'm using their monomer as well. Now, as to this beautiful nude, it's a little bit on the darker side. I used it on my other hand as well. It's called Silk Scarf, and I absolutely love it. We're starting off by getting a medium-sized bead of that acrylic, placing it where the form meets the natural nail, gently pushing it upwards onto the natural nail, and then trying to lengthen that acrylic. I start off with a medium-sized bead, and then we're going to be adding as we need to. So I could leave it at this length if I wanted to, but of course I'm trying to make them all even. So I'm kind of comparing it to my other thumb to see. And then I realized I needed to add a little bit more, so I'm adding a small bead to that tip. And this is just my first thin layer. This is going to create the tip effect and the extension. And then we're going to go in with our bulk product and start thickening up that acrylic and placing the thickness specifically where it is needed. So again, I'm comparing, and then I realize I made it too long, so then I'm just pushing back that acrylic very carefully. So what I really like about using forms and the Not Polished products is that it is the perfect amount of wetness. The consistency is just perfect, so it gives you enough time to work with the form, but it also doesn't move all over the place. Sometimes you'll have powders that are just way too runny, and sometimes you'll have powders that are extremely dry, and the consistency in the Not Polished products are just perfect. So it's allowing me the time to really form it into the shape that I want, and if I need any little tweaking, like at this point, I can still tuck in the sides and form it to the shape that I want. So I'm just gonna go ahead and finish tucking in those sides and cleaning up any excess acrylic. Now we're going in with the medium bead right in the middle section, typically where the apex goes. Now again, as I mentioned in every single one of my videos, I like to do my nails a lot thinner than you typically would do clients' nails, and this is just because I change them out a lot, and I honestly like the slimmer look of an acrylic extension. So I'm not overly building it up, I'm just making sure that everything is nicely shaped. So that last bead goes up near the cuticle area, Now we're going to be prepping the other form. Again, taking that sticker, placing it in the back, wiggling it around, and then pinching the tip of it. And then I'm going to secure it nicely onto my finger. It is a little bit on the time consuming part just because I'm not familiar with using forms. But once you get the hang of it, I feel like it's a lot easier to place them on your fingers. I'm just putting it under there, then I start tucking it, and then like I've mentioned before, if I need to move it specifically to one side or the other, I go ahead and do that very carefully. But we are nice and secured, and I like to move my hand back as well to kind of see and make sure that that nail is going to be straight whenever I put the acrylic on there. So again, we're going to start forming that acrylic. Now for this step, you can absolutely use a larger bead of acrylic to really get the entire length of nail that you want. However, I personally feel like the medium bead gives me enough time to work with that product and lay it on there perfectly, and it does not bother me to go in with a second bead to add the length. So definitely if I was working on a client and I had better grasp and better movement of their hand and the nail, I would absolutely just use a large bead. But because I'm working on myself, it can get a little tricky, and I want to be able to have the time to really focus on that shape without the acrylic kind of spilling all over the place with a bigger bead. So again, that's just my personal preference, but I'm going to go ahead and tuck in those sides. Make sure that it is fully covering the side walls of your natural nail. If you have any little area that is exposed, that can cause the acrylic to crack very easily. So you want to make sure you really are focusing on those side walls as well. Now again, taking a medium-sized bead, placing that right in the center, and then blending it downwards. And I'm not really blending it up towards the cuticle area because I want to keep that thickness to build up that apex. So last bead goes up in the cuticle area, and then I just gently push upwards. Holding my finger in a downward position is going to be key. And then I just start blending it downwards. And then I'm again leaving that thickness nicely. And then I'm going to go in and add some on the sides because, as you can tell, there's a little bit on the left side of my nail that is naked on the sidewall. So I'm just going to take a very small amount of acrylic and apply it to infill that area. Again, it is important that you do not leave those areas without acrylic, as it will cause the nail to easily break. Now again, I'm placing that form under my natural nail, pinching it lightly, and then we're gonna move it to the position that is going to make the nail straight. Secure that form, and we go into our acrylic application. Again, medium-sized bead. I place that on the form, lightly tuck it in on the sides, and then I start pulling the product downwards to create that length. I feel like once you get the hang of forms, it is amazing. I really enjoyed applying these on this hand. Of course, with my dominant hand, everything goes a lot smoother and it is so much more satisfying. But a good sculpted nail is just so beautiful in my opinion. So I'm definitely going to be doing more sculpts. And I honestly feel like me clipping off the excess nail for my previous set and doing this was not that time consuming. So you will absolutely be seeing me create a lot more sculpted nails, and I'm definitely going to start trying different designs and encapsulating stuff. I've done it before on my channel, but it's been a good minute, so we will be doing that definitely again. So let me know what you guys want to see down below in the comment section, and I will absolutely try to do a lot of your guys' requests. You guys already know that my pinky be doing some crazy stuff, so I went ahead and applied it off camera. And I am actually going to be adding a little bit of thickness wherever I feel it is needed. Once I take off the forms, I'm able to really look at the nail and decide whether I need to add any acrylic anywhere. So at this point, while the other ones are drying, I go ahead and do that. And I look at every single nail from every angle to see where I need to thicken it up a little bit. So that's basically what I'm doing. Then we're gonna get into our filing. Now for my filing process, I do like to hand file my sculpted nails. It is just so satisfying in my opinion. But I'm taking my Tammy Taylor peel and stick file and filing underneath the nail. As you can see, it is a little bit on the curved side underneath, as some of that acrylic still stays behind even though you try to clean it as best as possible. I've noticed that I still have a little bit that is left on that form. So that's basically what I'm doing, shaving that off with my hand file, and then I'm shaping it out, and then we're going in on the surface to file it and smooth everything out very nicely. And I'm obsessed. Like I said, forms, sculpted nails just look so good, and they're super flattering, and I feel like no matter what type of hands and fingers you have, they just look so good. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish doing that on the rest of the nails. Again, going underneath the nail, filing the shape, and then going on top of the surface, and then of course we're gonna be scoring off that tip. Now I typically use my 5-in-1 bit for this step, but I do like to go in with my e-file and file that cuticle area so that it's nice and flush to my natural nail. However, I accidentally grabbed this one and I was like, you know what, let me try it. So here we are. I put my speed to about 9 to 10,000 RPMs and I'm just filing away that cuticle area. It worked very well. However, if you use this often for this step, you're gonna have to replace it quite often, as it is a diamond bit and it's supposed to be used on your natural nail. But I liked it. I felt like it smoothed everything out very nicely, and you almost don't have to buff afterwards if you use this bit instead. So I'm just gonna go ahead and finish that, and then we are going to be buffing the surface of the nail. Now here we are using the Kiara Sky buffer, and I'm just going to go ahead and buff the entire surface of the nail. I want to make sure that I thoroughly buff it so that our nail art goes on very, very smoothly. I'm taking a lint-free wipe and some Young Nail Swipe, very quickly cleaning the surface of the nail. You can absolutely wash your hands, however, I like to do this as I feel like it's a lot quicker instead of having to wait for clients to come back and all that good stuff. So for today's nail art, I'm really excited to be sharing with you guys the swag bag for the month of February from Profiles Backstage. If you guys are not familiar with their stuff, what have you been doing? I talk about their products all the time on my channel. I absolutely love them. But the swag bag comes with White Magic, Gel Melt, Shamrock Super Polish, and some gold flakes. I am absolutely obsessed with the design that they created. So I was like, you know what? I gotta recreate it, and what better way to do that with the products that they send you. This is a monthly subscription if you guys are not familiar. I really love their brand, their products, and they're just amazing people. So here I was looking at their tutorial, because with the swag bag they also include a tutorial for that specific design. So once I kind of got an idea, I was like, all right, I'm gonna make it my own. We're just putting a little bit of that shamrock gel polish and a little bit of the white gel polish is my favorite. You know, us basic girls with our white toes need a good white polish, and that is like the best one in my opinion. So I'm taking the gel melt. This is basically like a blooming or blossom gel, and I'm adding a very thin coat of that. And I don't know what the heck, you guys, I cannot function with these long nails anymore. It just flew out of my hand, okay? We're gonna go in and add that thin layer, and I'm making it super thin because sometimes these can get really bulky. And then I'm picking up with my 3D nail art brush some of the green and some of the white, and I'm just placing it on that wet gel melt polish. And then you're gonna see it bloom, blossom, expand, and look so freaking pretty. I'm just randomly placing it on there. And once I'm content with the amount of spread, the amount of spreadage that it created, you wanna place the hand into the light, cure it so that it doesn't spread anymore. And then we're gonna be going in with some of that gold flake that they have provided us in these bags. So I feel like at this point I was like, all right, that looks amazing. Now I'm just cleaning up the sides so that there's not excess on the sides and it messes up my shape. And then near the cuticle area, I am going to infill that all the way so that it doesn't look like I did a terrible job painting my nails. And then we're going to be placing that in the light. I am going to be doing the full, I think it was like the 60-second option on my Chiaroscuro light. Now we're going to be taking the gold flaking. These little sheets of gold are really pretty. However, they stick to everything, so be extra careful because I got it on my hand and I couldn't take it off. So here I am opening it up. I'm going to be taking some tweezers, and you basically could just break it apart. You can just use the entire sheet and put it all over your nail. It's basically whatever you want to do, but I'm just going to be taking small amounts and kind of placing that randomly on that nail. And it does have a tacky layer, so I'm going to go ahead and place it on that gel polish tacky layer for easy adhesion, and that way we don't have to layer on a bunch more products. See, you see what I'm talking about? It's sticking everywhere. Good stuff, you guys. And then I'm just using that to my advantage. I got some stuck on my thumb, so I'm going to go ahead and place that on there. And then we're going to be doing an accent little shamrock design that they also showed us how to do on the ring finger. I feel like this is so fun, and it's such a cute way to do St. Patrick's nails without it being like overly crazy. It's like a tasteful design. Reason why I'm recreating it. So we're gonna go ahead and struggle a little bit more, and then we're gonna move on to the next nail. All right, so for the ring finger, again, we're adding a thin layer of that gel melt polish. Do not place it in the light. You wanna make sure that it is nice and wet. And I'm gonna be taking a smaller amount of that green and white polish and just placing it randomly. And then we're going to be going in with that shamrock design. So for the base of that shamrock, you want to create kind of like a background to your little leaves. I kind of failed at it, but it still looked cute. So here we are doing it. So I'm taking some white polish, and then I'm using a dotting tool for this because that's what they used. So I'm going to copy them. And we're going to be doing the little petal, essentially like the background of the petals. So I'm dotting it on the wet gel melt and then kind of dragging it. And then we're gonna let that bloom, blossom, and spread. And then we're gonna cure that in the light. So I'm kind of just letting it do its thing until it spreads a good amount. And then we're gonna be popping that in the light so that it fully cures. Once we're out of the light, I'm taking my dotting tool once again, and I'm again doing it how she did it. So we're starting off with kind of like a heart shape, and then we're gonna be elongating that, and it's more of like a rounded off heart to create those leaf shapes. And this one's just gonna have 3, so it's a 3-leaf clover. And then we're gonna be curing that in the light as well. Now I'm just adding the tiny little stem. You can't really see it, but I still wanted to add it in there. And then before I place that in the light, I'm going to be adding some more gold flakes to it. Again, just randomly placing it on there. There's like the tiniest amount of specks in some areas, and I feel like that just makes it look super, super cute. So don't overthink it and just kind of apply it on there randomly. Now, as far as the rest of the nails, I went ahead and applied the thin layer of the gel melt, and I'm just randomly placing that green and white polish on there, basically focusing on the tips. And then we're going to be curing that very quickly into the light, and again placing some more gold foil on there. I'm going ahead and top coating these nails once they are fully dry. I'm using Gloss It from Not Polish and applying a thin layer on top of the surface of that entire nail. And you really want to make sure that you are fully coating that gold foil. You don't want it to come off at all, so make sure it's nice and flat, and then fully coat it with that top coat. We're going to be placing that in the light for a full minute. I like to do the 90-second option on the Chiara Sky LED light. I went ahead and added some cuticle oil to my crusty cuticles. Once we're out of the light, that's basically it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned a ton. Make sure you guys check out Profiles Backstage. Remember, you guys do not need a license to sign up to make an account. Skip that option and go ahead and create an account and start shopping. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.